Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns. I have a very special announcement to make tonight. Just a very interesting news report, breaking news. Don't really know what this is, but I'm just going to report on this as best as possible based on my expertise and understanding of the situation, which, because I'm human, is incomplete. So keep that in mind. But we've received a very, very strange energy pulse or that was created here on Earth. And we see this really clearly in the Schumann resonances. And what's so special about this, this is very bizarre. I watch this stuff all the time, studying it like mad, and I've never seen something like this before, where it's isolated to the foundational mode. This is about 7.8 hertz right here. Isolated to the foundational mode, these overlap perfectly with our brain waves, both in frequency and intensity, generated naturally by lightning strikes, which is scale invariant to the neural spikes in our brain. Very interesting. Scale invariant in terms of the energy current density for the skull and a neural spike, and for the size of the Earth and a lightning strike. And you'll notice a very clear frequency shift in this, going from that foundational mode about 7.8 hertz all the way to 8.4 hertz. So increasing. This is 0 up top, 40 hertz down below, before going back and then petering out. This lasted 7 hours. It went from exactly basically 0 or midnight AM UTC plus 7 to 7 AM, or this would be 1700 to 2400 Universal Time on June 26th. This is collected and observed in Tomsk, Russia. Now, what's special about this is that it was observed in other locations too, and the timing is exact for all of them. That is interesting. It means very clear sign that this is something, and it's also directly after we had a fireball shoot across the north or the southeast of the United States. I believe it crashed in Georgia or Alabama, but people across quite a wide swath of the southeast U.S. I was fairly close to there actually just a couple of days ago in Greensboro. Saw this, and it crash landed. We'll look at that video. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up immediately for you all. So let me pull this up so you can see. Yeah, so we can see this fireball, because they actually use Schumann resonances to detect these sort of meteor impacts. They create these clear Schumann signals. And so this landed and crash landed around 1630 Universal Time or so, based off of an estimate that we have. Look how it goes straight down. Straight down. That impacted, okay? We also had just recently a nova explosion. This was identified as V462 Lupi, a nova explosion near Scorpio, or at least Scorpius here. And we see the location there. 4 million times brighter than it was before. This first triggered on June 12th, but it has been brightening up to at least the 19th. So we've had this massive nova explosion 5,000 light years away. The light finally hit us. And so we have this increase in the Schumann resonances, anomalously so, following right after this nova explosion and exactly after that daylight visible meteor impact in the United States. I'm close by in Pennsylvania, and today I was like supercharged. Around that time, I had some crazy breakthroughs, epiphanies, insights. I have a little bit of a whole new world understanding now. We'll get into that. Some incredible data combining these sort of nova eruptions to terrestrial events here on Earth, like climate change and like Miyake events, massive impulses of radiation. So, and also planetary resonances confirming that these astrological alignments, or just in general the planets coming together, seem to have effect not only on our reality and what we experience here on Earth, but also perhaps even going beyond, sending gravity waves to stars, and those perfectly corresponding with nova, actually supernova explosions. This is from the Crab Nebula, so we'll talk about that. But just to add some more context, like my father today was just on a writing spree. He still is. He's been writing all day. Just this crazy creative energy has overcome him, just the same as me. And I know a lot of people have been feeling that. A lot of all of you in the chat, please comment on how you've been feeling the energies of the past 12 hours, because this has just occurred. This is our real-time data. You see that this just ended about 2 hours ago. Let me even refresh this. It's not going to be looking that different, but let's get the absolute latest right now. And we see that this ended, petered off just about 2.5 hours ago, if that. And so this was a significant global brainwave shift. And please take that with a grain of salt. This is partly speculation. I'm going off of intuition here. We have some data feeds that we can look at. We have this meteor caught on video. We know that this nova eruption occurred starting on June 12th. It brightened to the 19th. I think it's still very active right now at this moment in time, but I wasn't able to, in the short period of time making this live stream, confirm that. I wasn't able to go outside and look for myself because it's just not in a place where I can see it right now. But something happened today, and we see that very clearly here with our Schumann resonances. Let us look at our other data feeds. We also are in a G1 storm. This did correspond with a G1 geomagnetic storm, a high-speed stream impact, though I don't think that is the cause. Before we go further and look at our other feeds, I do just quickly want to show you, here we see the increase in the amplitude of the first mode. Notice how it goes up, the others stay basically flat. This is that foundational mode, on average 7.83 hertz, okay? Now let's look at the frequency. So we see that the power went up. We see that the frequency here originally had a little bit of a drop. Again, it came in right at midnight, UTC +7. So it had a little bit of a drop, but then it actually went up. So it went down to about 7.4 or so hertz for the foundational mode, and then it spiked up to 8.4. So 1 hertz oscillation hit that foundational mode. And we see that what's interesting is that the other modes dropped in their frequency. They didn't have that increase. If you look at the entire time frame for our frequency, our peak power frequency, we see that that was actually the highest point that it reached across that entire 2-day and 8-hour stretch. That's right around 2:20 or so a.m. UTC +7. So that'd be about 1920 universal time. Should be accurate for the timing. The other modes didn't do that, really showing that it was isolated to that foundational mode, which overlaps perfectly with our brainwaves, not only in frequency, but also intensity. And that is what you need for there to be an exchange of energy and information. Because if our brainwaves were much more intense in their strength and their power, let's say they're 10 times stronger than these background resonant energy fields, then any information contained within this would just enter into our brains as noise. And if this was much stronger, then we wouldn't be able to have probably conscious thought, because these would just totally be overpowering our own natural biorhythms. So the fact that they are perfectly resonant together and coherent and at the same intensity frequencies, we see these frequencies in our brainwave architecture, especially as you go back towards the caudal regions, temporal lobes, very much indicative that there is an exchange of consciousness and information between the Earth and humanity. In fact, between all life on the planet, the Earth, and even the solar system and cosmos. So let's now look with that in mind. It's very odd to see the frequency go up as the power goes up as well. Those two are usually inversely correlated. You get a power increase, the frequency goes down. That is what you see during like a thunderstorm passing overhead. The classic telltale sign is that. Check this out. This is out of Cumiana, Italy. So the last one was Tomsk, Russia. Look at these energy waves in our VLF spectrum. This is going from 0 to 1500 hertz. Down below it's 0 to 15,000 hertz for the top one, 0 to 1500 for this bottom spectrogram. And let us actually look specifically at the one from just about 30 minutes before this one, because it captures it better. Here we have that data. So these are just very odd patterns of energy in the VLF spectrum. I don't really know what to make of this. They've had nice weather in general. They had basically completely normal weather for Tomsk, Russia. You can look it up for June 26th and June 27th. All right, specifically June 27th, totally normal weather. Now for Cumiana, Italy, this is very bizarre. They've been having a lot of heat. I'm not sure if they've had any thunderstorms, but that actually even really doesn't matter, as I'm going to explain, because let's look at the next one now. But this is very bizarre, right? And actually, before I go away, look at our time here. 2000, 2200, midnight. So that's right in that weirdo zone, okay? The weirdo zone. Here we have our data out of the Hungarian Research Network. This is from Sopron, Hungary. All right. And hi, everyone in the chat. My name is Stefan Burns, geophysicist, space weatherman, and more. We will do a question and answer after this short presentation. I just want to get right into it, show you what is happening, give you my best understanding as to what is happening. This, though, is, as I'm experiencing it, a global pulse of consciousness and insight, and just in general, greater awareness. Today felt like an epiphany, honestly, like a huge breakthrough. So that is what Ascension is. If you're wondering what Ascension is, it's basically just reaching a higher consciousness level or a higher spiritual awareness. That is what happened today, at least for me and the people around me. And so please comment, whether you're on the live stream or watching this on replay, comment to tell us how you felt on June 26th, second half of the day. But really, do the math, 1700 to midnight Universal Time, June 26th. Here we have the data out of Hungary, and they did have weather, okay? So they did have some weather. And I'm going to explain, though, that is not at all disproving the connection. In fact, it's just a sign of it. So here we see our time, and if I scroll down, you'll see that we have midnight there, 21, 18, 15, okay? So this started at 1700 in Tomsk. We see that's right about here. This is showing a wave coming in early. This is the vertical electric field going from 0 to 45 hertz. So we're measuring the oscillations going from the ground surface up to the ionosphere. Any little changes to that electric circuit, those vibrations, and the intensity increase will measure that. So we see that go up. Here we have our magnetic field, east-west direction and north-south direction. Both of them also showing this wave, though the magnetic field is really showing it click in and activate at 1700 Universal Time. Because again, we have, this is midnight, 21:18. We go right about there for 17. That is right when we had these peaks. So they really show up nicely on the east-west, and for some reason, we get these peaks showing up on north-south, but actually as a signal deficiency. So I don't really know why, but we see very clearly these peaks come through. One there for the, two right there for the vertical electric field, east-west horizontal magnetic field, north-south horizontal magnetic field. Now, if we go, and I actually think I have it loaded up here, okay? So here we can look at our weather, all right? This is for the same geophysical observatory because they run more than just a Schumann resonances observatory. Look at when the weather came in. No weather at all. And then right at 1740 or so Universal Time, boom, right up to some weather. And I can actually look to tell you what this legend guide means, all right? So green, I believe, what is green? Green is rain. So it goes from drizzle. So this is precipitation, drizzle, and then this is rain. And then this is a shower up there in purple. And blue is snow. So that's why it skipped past the blue one. So we see right from 1700, though, to midnight, all of a sudden they had rain. Kind of come out of nowhere. What happens is sometimes during these sort of events, when you get a big energy pulse in, that can strengthen the global electric circuit and turn basically it can enhance whatever weather you had. So if you had clouds, maybe you now have rain. You have enough electric current and conductivity increase to create that rain cloud to electrify and then drop its body of water, its load of water. And so we see that we had Hungary experienced weather exactly at that time frame. So I think there was some sort of pulse of energy, and some places didn't have the weather at all, like no clouds, necessary to then cause some sort of atmospheric electromagnetic disturbance, which is what a rain cloud is. Whereas Hungary already had a predisposition because they probably had some clouds, and boom, they got that. So then it manifested that way. So then it even created a stronger pulse locally at that zone as a result. Now we also have data. That is the three data feeds are. And let me go back here. Our vertical electric or our VLF data from VLF.IT with our 1500 and 15,000 hertz here, vertical electric field, really unusual. And then we see our Schumann data here going across. This is the clearest by far, really showing that signal isolated in the foundational mode, going from 7 to 7, or going from 7.4 to 8.4 hertz, and then back and then petering off. Now, some supplementary data for you is here, the geophysical station in Croatia, and this is in English. Meteors are sometimes followed by certain acoustic sounds, hypersonic booms, and electrophonic sounds. So the normal sound is an acoustic wave generated by the meteor airburst in the lower atmosphere, which propagates at the speed of sound. Electrophonic sounds are generally heard simultaneously with the meteor's appearance. These sounds therefore cannot be explained by ordinary acoustic propagation. And the physical explanation of electrophonic sounds infers an emission of the electromagnetic waves from a fireball with a frequency of audible sound. These waves propagate at the speed of light, which means that they can reach the observer without notable retardation. Finally, the sound is created by coupling the electromagnetic energy at audio frequencies with objects on the ground. So this observatory here is specifically devoted, one of their tasks is specifically devoted to find fireballs and meteors that come in. And so to help with that, they have the largest Schumann resonances ball antenna in the world, which measures the electric field such that they can then correlate what they see visually with any anomalous data that this picks up. And it's, this is 4.4 meters tall, so it's the largest in the world that I know of, and it covers that spectral region going from 1 to 10 kilohertz. And this data is not available online, unfortunately. It'd be great if it was. We do have some data that was collected from magnetic observatories all around the globe. So let me pull this up. This is a graphic created, kind of compiled by Richard Cortado on Twitter, who looks at magnetic anomalies connected to planetary impacts and more. And we see two magnetometer stations. This is Fredericksburg, and then this is the, Stennis Space Center here. And we see the distance in between them. Here we see the impact in of that fireball and the report of it. Rough time, 1624 Universal Time, according to him. That may be a little bit more accurate as news comes out. But this is where we're seeing that impact. And we see these magnetic anomaly signals come in afterwards. And so the speed on that, we were able to calculate the speed. He has that post on his Twitter X. I've linked that in the video description. But we see often with these fireballs, these magnetic anomalies appear. And this is actually just like in our broadband magnetic field data. If you have a Schumann resonance observatory, you pick it up even better. So very interesting that we had this fireball come in, and then immediately afterwards, we have this 7-hour-long increase in the foundational mode of the Schumann resonances, and me and others definitely picked up like this big pulse of consciousness. Like, it was really tremendous. I mean, I have a lot to do now on the channel to share some of what I've learned. Let's look at our real-time solar wind so we can see this geomagnetic storm because the sun has been active. So it's really a combination effect, okay? There's a lot of things happening. We have that nova explosion, which is bringing more energy into our planet since June 12th, located 5,000 light years away, just about at the edge of what we hypothesize the effects of these nova explosions can have on the Earth. If it's further out than that, it seems that the effect kind of peters off. We have this high-speed stream right here. We see the solar wind velocity going up to over 800 kilometers per second at times, but mostly in that 700 to 800 kilometer per second range. And we see that our geomagnetic volatility here has been picking up and starting at about 2100. So a little bit before, or after rather, 1700, but we see that we had most of this impact actually already come in. This was the most significant point of it. Of course, higher velocity solar wind does have an impact as well, but we see that we started to go down, and then right around noon or so universal time, we see it started to pick up again, going from a 3 to a 4 on the KP index. It goes to 9. And once you get to 5, you're in a G1 storm, which is a minor geomagnetic storm. And so we see that we hit that 5 value right there at 2100, and now we've actually had a 5.33 going into the beginning of the 27th universal time. And we can also see, corresponding to that, we see this increase in our low energy protons associated with that high-speed stream. And so this is right around the same time frame as well. All these things are happening simultaneously. So this is multi factorial, you could say. Here's the 26th. Each of these is 2 hours. So we'll work back from the 27th. This would be 22. That would be 20. That would be 18. Right in the middle of 1700 universal time. That's right when our low energy protons are at their highest. So we had this wave come in, and then all of a sudden the Schumann resonances just grabbed energy, I think, from kind of all of them. From the nova impact, maybe from this fireball, from the solar wind, and then just started resonating and basically created this pulse of consciousness. And the thing with consciousness is that once you experience it or you come to some realization or truth, there's no really going back. It's like it's a shift. It's there. You were there before. You're here, and then you're there. Like there's no really shifting back or, oh, I forgot it, whatever. I mean, sometimes it's so brief you need to write it down. But this was such a long duration one that I myself have been feeling, my dad's been feeling very strongly, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. People are saying that they've been buzzing basically continuously, that some people haven't been sleeping, just waking up really early. My dad also woke up before this, he woke up at 3 and then did some stuff, went back to sleep, woke up. A little unusual. I woke up really early after not getting much sleep. I've been feeling like fired up all day. So definitely something has happened, and we see that very clearly with our data out of Tomsk, Russia, here with this increase in the frequency of the foundational mode and the intensity of it for 7 hours, going from 1700 to 700 or 7 a.m. or no, 1700 to 2400 universal time on the 26th. And I don't know if we're going to get more of these. We very well could get more of these. Right now it's just one. We could get 3 of them maybe. Maybe we start getting a sequence of this continuously go pop, pop, pop like that. I don't know. I mean, if this is connected to the nova explosion, then really the sky's kind of the limit. So these energies are coming in. This is undoubtable. We've seen this star brighten 4 million times. And it's active basically right now. The meteorite in that ball should have been it should have been a short blip in terms of any sort of data or signal or effect on the Schumann resonances. That should not have been the reason why that was 7 hours long. But the timing is really interesting. It's also just interesting that Cosmic Summit, which talks about these sort of meteorite impacts and the effect on the Earth, and also the effect of solar explosions and stuff on the Earth, happened on solstice just days before we have this meteorite flying over basically the same states right in that zone. So, chalk that up. The universe is interesting. Reality gives you some pretty clear signs and synchronicities when something's happening and if something's important. And then we also have just some anomalies right now. Massive flooding in China as we have as we finish up a very powerful Jupiter conjunct the moon in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, a water sign. That's a new moon. Very, very powerful influence. And if you look at the long-term astrology going out, we have a great mutation into water coming. So right now we're in air, but soon, eventually, these Saturn and Jupiter great conjunction cycles will mutate to water. And usually they have one conjunction before they split. In fact, it was back around 2,000 years ago where there was a triple conjunction in them in Pisces that caused the Magi or the Magi to look for Jesus and basically to look for the Messiah. We have a triple conjunction of them coming up in Cancer. I think it's 2253. Could be 2238, around that time zone. So we have a triple conjunction coming up in water. We're seeing how right now in Cancer, which is water, we see right now how Jupiter amplifying the new moon in Cancer together is creating massive floods, like record floods in China, like beyond belief. And then we see that coming up, we may have like some more flood activity because of this indication that we're going from Aquarius, the water bearer and pourer, to then the water element with the great mutation cycle. So just a lot happening right now. I want to just give you a sneak peek. As to what I was brainstorming today. I did post this to my Twitter X account, and you may not get it if you don't kind of get the download. So I'm going to have to do a video on this, but while we're here, I'm going to share with you the pulse of consciousness that I had because I thought this was wicked, and it is wicked. So here we are looking at around 1052 AD. And that date, there's some questions around that date. But this is when we had a very powerful sequence of planetary resonances, as you can see here. Started with a new moon, then a Venus-Mercury conjunction, then a Mercury-Cazimi, followed by a Mercury-Mars conjunction. You see Mercury moving ahead there. Then there was Mercury conjunction Jupiter. Then we had the moon move into opposition. So that's a 2-week period with all those things happening. That is crazy. You can look at the date there on the bottom, going from April 20th to June 15th, okay? This is taken with Stellarium. And I'll explain why this date may not be accurate, but it's roughly accurate to 1052 AD. Then after that full moon, basically during and after that full moon, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter all go Cazimi simultaneously. And immediately as that's occurring, basically right afterwards, check this out right here. There's that Cazimi, boom! They hit the Crab Nebula. See that thing that says marker 1? I have the arrow pointing to it. That is the Crab Nebula. That had a supernova eruption in 1054. And the date for that, according to eyewitness accounts and records, was June 19th to the 28th of 1054 CE. And they said it was outrageous because it appeared in the dawn and in the evening. It was that bright. So it was close to the sun, and it was so bright that even though on one side it was kind of under the beams of the sun, it still appeared. Crazy bright. 6,500 light years away, plus or minus 1,600. You will notice Betelgeuse there just off to the side of it. That's only 408 light years away, though the range is 408 to 548 light years away. And let me turn myself back on. There's Betelgeuse. So Betelgeuse is actually fairly close to the Earth and our solar system in the grand scheme for the Crab Nebula like that. But it had a supernova eruption. And that was right after, we think, or at least I think, this planetary resonances sequence. So watch this again. Think of how this is going to create a gravity wave spiking out, okay? Because all of these are gravity players. And the planets effectively act as a way for the sun to extend its gravitational field out further and make it still significant. Because you have to keep in mind, gravity decreases with the inverse square law. So every time you double the distance, it goes down by 4. But if you're able to fling Jupiter out exactly along that line and the other planets, well, you can extend that gravity vector out and make it more significant. And you'll see how they come together, all of them, right as they hit the Crab Nebula. And then it goes supernova. Now, this planetary resonance sequence here is for 1052, but that very well could actually be around 1054 because the rate of precession could be different than what it is now. If it's just slightly different, and there's a lot of evidence that precession has a variable rate because perhaps the sun is in the solar system is traveling along an ecliptic orbit, so it's going to have a variable rate of velocity around that common center, then this could line up for 1054 AD. But just based off of the rate of the 2025 precession rate, this is for 1052, this planetary resonance. Well, in 1052, there's a recorded Miyake event, which is a massive increase in radioisotopes, specifically carbon-14. Tree rings record a 4.9% increase in carbon-14 in 1052. And so I'm looking at this. Okay, we have the Crab Nebula going supernova in 1054, and we have multiple eyewitness accounts for that. So that date is probably the most accurate date of the bunch. This date for this planetary resonance sequence could very well be 1054 if our rate of precession is just slightly different. Because remember, our background sky could be in a different position. So it's very likely that this is actually 1054, not 1052. Then we also have this Miyake event dated 1052. Well, they're counting tree rings. That's well within, I would think, the error of the precise dating. And so the Crab Nebula supernova, that impact very likely actually probably triggered that Miyake event. They're probably one and the same. Miyake events aren't just solar. We don't know exactly what they're caused from. These massive influx of particles could either be solar or cosmic in origin. So we have a supernova eruption occurring within 2 years, within 2 years of a Miyake event. That's probably one and the same thing. And we just need to get our timelines a little bit more precise. But look at this planetary resonance sequence. So we have this go through here. The video ends on the 15th of June, okay? So watch this. It goes like this, and then it ends right there. Watch how the Crab Nebula, right, continues to travel down because it's fixed in position. Eyewitness account said it was as bright as Jupiter, okay? So here is Jupiter. That's Venus, actually. There is Jupiter right there, okay? Jupiter is one of the brightest objects in the sky. So then right after this video ends, imagine that all of a sudden brightening to the apparent magnitude of Jupiter and being visible during the dawn and the dusk. And what happened around this time frame is you actually had the medieval warm period. So there's evidence that these nova explosions, they bring in energy to the planet, and it's not distributed uniformly. If it depending on how it hits, it can just, for example, cause selective heating to like the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. We have most evidence for the northern hemisphere. But this is really, really quite incredible. What's also incredible is this super thanks that we just got in from Sybil. That's not $1.99, that's $199. So thank you so much. God bless. Namaste. Just wanted to point that out. We've had other super thanks come in. Thank you all so much, everyone. We will do a question and answer. We're nearly there. So this is just really showing that the effect, like the cosmos can have a tremendous effect on us. You can have a star go supernova, and then that can actually trigger climate shifts on the planet and geophysical changes. Tree rings can record that data. I would put really strong, like a lot of money on this Miyake event actually being from this supernova eruption and these planetary resonances all occurring at the same time. Because anyone that knows how to read an astrological chart knows that this is insane. In one lunar cycle, new moon to new moon, in 30 days, we have all these conjunctions. Again, Mercury, Venus, and this is the order here. So Mercury conjuncts Venus, then it goes Cazimi with the Sun, then it conjuncts Mars, then it conjuncts Jupiter. Then we have the full moon as Venus, Mars, and Jupiter all meet up together, go Cazimi, they conjunct the Sun, creating that perfect gravitational vector, the Earth right here as well. The moon behind the Earth even, conjunct the Crab Nebula, then Mars conjuncts Jupiter, we get a new moon, and right after that, boom, we get that supernova eruption. That is insane. And so here's the thing, gravity travels at the speed of light. So the Crab Nebula is about 6,500 light years away. So it's not like that signal can go, that gravity signal can go from our solar system to the Crab Nebula in less than a few days. There are quantum explanations for linking things. For example, we can see spooky action at a distance. If you have entangled particles, they can respond faster than the speed of light. That's what the evidence suggests. But perhaps there is a resonance developed with this system where every 16,000 years, perhaps, every time we get a significant conjunction like this, we then send a pulse of energy its way through that gravity wave, but we also receive one from the last time we did it. That's the kind of one explanation you could have, is that they are actually linked up in time like this pretty precisely. I don't know. I don't have the answers. This is just really, really crazy. That was the epiphany I had today. I'll talk about that more in future videos, but that is what came to me today. Very cosmic in origin. We have this nova explosion occurring right now. We have this fireball coming in from outer space. We have this extremely bizarre signal come in on the Schumann resonances, specifically the foundational mode, causing an increase in that foundational brainwave frequency from 7.4 to 8.4 hertz. And I certainly noticed that myself. And I just want to show this one again, because this one's really wild here. This VLF data, very low frequency field data, is just very bizarre. So look at that. I've never seen a VLF spectrogram like that before. Again, 0 to 15,000 hertz, 0 to 1500 down here, measured in Schumann, Italy. All the links are in the video description. So that's really all I got for you. I wish I could tell you more. The spaceships are coming or something like that. But this is, if that's not exciting enough for you, then you need to get your brain checked, perhaps. At least that's what I think. So we will do a question and answer now. We'll keep it fairly focused to what we've been talking about. I'm going to look through the super thanks first, because we have had a few of those, and those get priority. So just thank you, Sharon, for the super sticker, and then Melissa for the super thanks. Rebecca, to you as well. And another one here from POW. I'm European, watching your channel. Is all cosmic weather a big impact too in Europe? Yeah, I mean, this Schumann burst was observed in Tomsk, Russia. It was observed in Kumiana and also Hungary. So the Europeans really felt it in terms of the data being received. But I know personally, I felt it here, and I'm on the east coast of the United States, which is, getting kind of close to Europe. It's not California, for example. It's not Hawaii. But I definitely felt a big pulse of consciousness today. And I'm n equals 1. My dad makes it n equals 2. You guys probably make it like n equals 100,000 plus. So if there's something to it, please, this is a record for the future. Please leave your comments in the video describing what you experienced today. Just whatever that was, okay? So we can create a record, a timestamp on what happened today, because this seemed very, very profound. And Barb, thank you for the super thanks. Just another Patty, a big supporter. Thank you for the super thanks. And Sybil, again, incredibly generous super thanks. Thank you so much. And Beach Squint, also thank you. And another one there from Barb. One from Alice here, and also a super thanks from Rachel saying gratitude. So thank you all so much. Now let's get into our question and answer. I'll just take a few questions on what is happening here. Here's a good one asking, what is going on with Betelgeuse? If it does supernova, will it affect us on Earth, or is it too far away? So that's a good question, because this right here, this nova explosion, 1052, or 1054, nova explosion. We don't know whether it's 1052, 1054, just that zone, okay? But let's say 1054. Again, Betelgeuse, right there. That's Betelgeuse. And look at the distance. It's much closer. It's much closer to the Earth. And so we know that it's in the direction of that Crab Nebula, nearly on the ecliptic. So it also got hit with that radiation. Now, we don't know if it got hit as square on as we did. It seems like we got hit pretty square on, with the fact that we had a Miyake event, 4.9%. But maybe that was even just, that was like a bit of a flank impact. But Betelgeuse certainly got a big boost from that. That could have caused perhaps some destabilization to Betelgeuse fueled that red giant phase even more. And that's certainly something, if that goes supernova, and that, look how close that is. If we got a Miyake event at 5% from the Crab Nebula, which used to just not be a nebula, right? That's the exploding remnant. But from a supercritical star, you could say, at 6,500 light years away, plus or minus 1,600, imagine if Betelgeuse does it at just 500. Let's round up a bit to 500. That could be pretty insane. That's pretty close to the ecliptic, meaning that it's going to launch out on that ecliptic plane and like basically hit all the planets in the sun. So people have been saying it's exploded. No, you'll know the moment it's exploded if you actually see a supernova in the sky, okay? So there's a lot of fake videos out there right now trying to milk attention and views for this Betelgeuse thing. Like Betelgeuse live cam is exploding now. It's all this nonsense stuff. There's also a lot of junk AI videos, so just be mindful of that. If Betelgeuse explodes, you will know. There will be news articles all across the world on that. I will be live for probably 24 hours, right? And you'll be able to go outside and see that SOB light up like a Christmas tree. I mean, you're going to be able to feel that, okay? If we can feel what happened today, Betelgeuse going supernova or nova is going to be insane, all right? So, yeah, good question, great question. I'm sticking with questions that are on topic to the video, so thank you all for that. Just a note from Jennifer saying, I think these sort of energies depend on how you handle that extra energy. If you're feeling it bad or handling it bad, you're going to feel bad. If you handle it well, you'll feel well. I 100% agree. I have a lot of these videos discussing health and wellness effects of this stuff on the channel. You can go through some of the videos. Some of the playlists on that. The earthing grounding stuff is super, super valuable. If you were out earthing and grounding, you pick this up because the Schumann resonances not only pulse in the atmosphere, but they also pulse in the oceans and the Earth's surface. And so anyone that's out grounding today, like I was for quite a lot, I was also researching this stuff. But in between, I was outside grounding, pick that up firsthand. So great light code energies that came in today. Really fantastic stuff. I hope you get more because today was incredible. So many groundbreaking discoveries are popping off at this time. I'm really feeling in some aspects optimistic about like artificial intelligence and that technology. It's been helping me with my research tremendously. If you put good in, you get good out. If you just use AI, just like the generic ones, you'll get just a whole bunch of like AI slop. But if you're really structured with your resources and how you feed them into something like Notebook LM, it can be incredible a research tool. So that seems to be kind of I feel like a wave of optimism coming in today. I know that the world is going to shit, but I do feel a wave of optimism coming in, counterbalancing that. So thank God. And Darth V is asking, are we getting a meteor storm? This is I think they're called the Beta Taurids, and they're daylight visible meteors. So it's not like it's unknown for us to get these sort of meteorites coming in June. I believe that is the correct swarm of meteors. And look, I mean, there's only been one sighting thus far of one meteor, but we could get more in the days ahead. Pandora is asking, I've heard some astrologers say America's chart is in Cancer. Do you think we are overdue or we are due for a huge shift soon? July is still mostly Cancer season. Yes, that is true. Sun in Cancer. And yeah, we got a lot left. So July is going to be, it looks like it's the craziest month astrologically for 2025, which is one of the craziest years in decades, if not centuries. So yeah, big stuff happening. And Diego's asking, do you think we'll get the biggest power jump on July 4th or aka July 5th, which is that Japan prophecy? That's an unknown. Really don't know, but we're seeing a lot of interesting things. That Japanese earthquake swarm has continued. It's at like 500 plus earthquakes now. And we have this earthquake swarm to north of Japan, to south of Japan, and right as those are both happening, we get the biggest sighting of luminous jets ever. There I am myself on the live stream. But check this out. This occurred during these earthquake swarms. And if you read this, it's from what we know, the most significant outbursting of these luminous jets ever caught on camera. Like 20 separate events in one night. So this is insane. Plasma basically discharging from the atmosphere up. And we know that there's strong connections between earthquakes, the atmosphere, the ionosphere, and even out to the magnetosphere. So really, really wild stuff. So Japan is looking, I mean, I can't say that this prophecy is going to happen or not. Who knows? But Japan is looking like it's looking prime. And we hope that nothing happens. So one last thing is we'll look at our sun and just give us a look to see that it hasn't really done anything super crazy, though we do have like these kind of weird tornadoes on the surface of the sun right now. You'll see them form up at the very end, one north and one south. Give this a watch. These are plasma filaments, and they really almost start to go vertical here. So check that out. This one, we talked about that one yesterday. But look at now, it's just almost just forming like this vertical tornado. See both of those? That's pretty weird. So this is the coronal hole high-speed stream impact. We're still in that high-speed stream. That will lessen out over the next 24, 48 hours. Look at this huge plasma filament, exactly Earth center direct right now. We've been having this perturbation go this way. That could launch. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that to launch, but if its window is about maybe 6 to 8 more hours with it exactly in that Earth direct zone. So we hope, well, I don't know what to hope for, if we want to hit us or not, but that would definitely give us another pulse of consciousness, you could say. So a tremendous amount happening right now. I will keep you up to date every step of the way, so please subscribe to this channel. Again, I've been your host, Stefan Burns. Please smash that like button, help the channel grow. It actually does. So that is really important. We just passed 333 subscribers. We're on the road to 500K, a million, 10 million, whatever. Like we'll be happy with any number that comes in. So make sure you subscribe because we're tracking all the factors here. So many scientists now are just in their single discipline and field, and they cannot see the bigger picture because they simply just haven't studied the bigger picture. They're zoned in on one pixel, and they're losing a side of the forest for the tree. And so I can't say I'm the ultimate expert at understanding every single pixel. I'm certainly not. I will never claim to be. But I definitely zoom out my perspective so I can see the forest and even see the Earth and the universe as a whole. I'm doing my absolute best. I'm pretty well studied in all these different disciplines, which you need to know to see the bigger picture. So that is what we cover on the channel. So that's why we talk about geologic events on Earth, geophysical energies like the Schumann resonances, keep track of them. Solar activity, space weather, planetary resonances. If you're not a believer after this video, there's no hope for you. I mean, that Kazemi sequence with that nova eruption is insane, in my opinion. A supernova explosion happening right after that crazy Kazemi sequence. You know that's not normal if you're an astrologer. That's a very rare transit. To get something like that does not happen every day. It doesn't even happen like every century. And then we also look at these cosmic forces and more. So again, please subscribe. Hope you're all doing well, feeling well. Make sure you do some earthing and grounding to stabilize your energies, but to also pick up these energies. Wonderful, creative breakthrough, intelligence and consciousness active and information active at this moment in time. I hope you get a piece of that, small or large or gigantic, and I'll be back with more very, very soon. And yeah, wishing all of you well. Please take care of yourselves and have a great day.